Welcome back to Division I Rejects with a little rock and roll to get us started tonight, Trevor.
Let's go.
How do we feel about that?
I like it. I like it.
I feel like we need a way to get the vibes up early and keep them up going all the way. Sometimes you get in here into the studio, it's been a long day. You just need a little bit of rock and roll, a little guitar action to get us going. Jack, joining us tonight. Blessed with your presence. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Did you start clapping for yourself?
I did.
You did.
He needs it sometimes.
I need it. There's only two people in here. I figured I'd throw in some extra noise.
I could throw in the little, one of these guys in the headphones.
Well, yeah, you do have the soundboard over there. You could have helped me out a little bit there.
Unfortunately, nobody listening or watching can hear that audience clapping.
Well, trust me, there was. There was a little bit of audience clapping.
But we've got an exciting episode for you tonight. Jokes aside, this is episode 110. We are 110 of these into the damn thing. This is July 13th recording this. One of the newest Division I Rejects athletes, Jordan Davis from Kutztown University. I had to practice saying that one. I did not know how to pronounce that before this podcast. But he joins us today, second team All-PSAC running back, and big year ahead of him and the Bears down there in the PSAC. Otherwise, though, fellas, we've got the D3 Preseason All-Americans from our guy over at the College Football Network to review quickly. And then, as far as our team features go today, Division II side of things, West Florida, the Argonauts. We've got a top 10 mascots list coming out next week. And Argy the Argonaut might allegedly be on that list, Trevor?
He might be. May or may not be.
May or may not be.
Cannot confirm
pretty high
or
on that
deny.
list. Yeah. Allegedly. Otherwise, we're talking about the Argonauts here, the run that they had, and a good piece for those of you who are not familiar with the Argonauts, not to give you too much of our conversation later. The Division II national title in 2019, they were the youngest startup program at any collegiate level to go from their first season to a championship title in 4 years.
That's insane.
That is actually crazy.
That stat itself is extremely commendable. They just got a new head coach, and Coach Nobles will talk all about it. He's the second coach in their history after playing quarterback there. But on the D3 side of things, even potentially more exciting, Delaware Valley, the Aggies, the team that has won 5 MAC championships in a row. We're not talking about the group of 5 MAC. We're talking about the Division III.
We're not talking about
level.
Maction.
No. Not yet.
Some Tuesday Maction.
No, not yet. But we are talking about Delaware Valley. The Aggies just added their quarterback, Louis Barrios, to Division I Rejects athletes as well. So got a lot of guys from all over the place getting on and joining the sponsorship. Excited to talk about DVU. Take a look at their rings from their last couple conference championships. Going to be really fun. Also, we've got 2 NAIA teams making the jump. One of them to Division II. Sorry, not 2 NAIA teams. We've got an NAIA team making the jump to D2 and a Division III team making the jump to Division II. One of them will be joining the GLIAC. One of them will be joining the Lone Star Conference. Ooh. So big-time news out of their camps today, and we certainly will cover all of that for you later on. And finally, a little bit of NFL talk for you. How about that? Phillip Rivers is fielding his own football team. If you want to hear more about that, if you're watching on YouTube, timestamps, bottom of the video. Remember, use any of those. Fast forward. We got a lot of different topics to cover today. If you want to go listen to any of those, use the timestamps and get the hell out of here. Otherwise, stick around. Listen to us talk for a little bit longer. Fellas, Josh Jacobs is holding out. Not the first running back to do it. Running back market right now in the NFL.
Yep.
You can get him anywhere. You really can.
That's the thing.
Pacheco.
Why hold out?
That's 1 year, and he's already good.
And he was at Rutgers.
Yeah. Well, it helps when you're playing on this team called the Chiefs.
True.
But that's what I'm saying.
We'll get into it later.
Yeah.
Otherwise, a fun piece that I don't know if either of you have seen. There's a quarterback in college football right now making a necklace out of his own rib.
What?
That's not right.
Yes!
That's not right.
I told you I was bringing the heat today with a good story, and boys, we've got a good one. So we might finish the episode out on that one. Like I said, timestamps. Fast forward, he's making a necklace out of his own rib. Football guy.
That can't be approved. There's got to be something.
I have so many questions.
As always, you can watch this episode on YouTube. Don't forget about the timestamps. Like I've already told you 3 times. You can listen pretty much anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on Twitter at D1_Rejects. 2,000 followers, maybe a little bit of a giveaway. Maybe not.
Cannot
Instagram.
Confirm or deny.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Instagram,
Keyword of the day, allegedly.
At Division I Rejects to see highlights from the show. Fellas, before we get into any of those juicy topics, let's go to the conversation with Jordan from Kutztown. Joining the show tonight, running back from Kutztown University, where he was second team All-PSAC in 2022, one of the newest D1R sponsored athletes. It's Jordan Davis. What's going on, brother? How are you?
How you doing? I'm doing good.
Man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to get you on here. I'm pumped to have you be a part of this. One of our big things when we started was like, man, let's get people from all over, right? And that sounds good in premise and in theory. Then you're like, man, I really don't know people from all over. I know my little Midwest circle, but that's about it. So I get really excited when guys like you, show interest and send in those applications, man. We're pumped to have you.
No, for sure. Excited, man.
It's big time, dude. But
Yeah.
to kind of kick things off, I might pull up the tweet here real quick. Actually, it doesn't sound like I'm going through Twitter the other day and I see a tweet from you. It doesn't sound like you're too excited for the new Hard Knocks news. You care to elaborate on that one? I have to show the people here real quick.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of my close friends, Jerry Cap, he just got signed to the Jets.
Okay.
So I think he's gonna be a fan favorite for the Hard Knocks and stuff like that. So hopefully,
Really? Okay.
he gets to So and even the year before, Craig Reynolds, he was a running back at Kutztown. He was a star at Hard Knocks 2 years ago. So I mean, it's a nice little trend going on with Hard Knocks. So I mean,
I like that.
I mean, I was talking to Tim Boyle, Jets quarterback. He said he doesn't really like it, just like people following him around and stuff like that. But I mean, seems like a great opportunity for undrafted guys like Jerry to get that like exposure. So
no, that's big time. And TB12, right? Well, the other TB12. There's another one, but we won't talk about him. But he obviously dealt with it last year with the Lions, and that's Craig Reynolds. That's the Lions. Or I guess, is he still with the team? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, he's still with the Lions.
He is still with the Lions. Okay, I like watching him play, man. He's a tough ass. He's a physical runner. He's from Kutztown.
He is from Kutztown. Yeah.
That's big time, dude. I'm trying to think. When would he have graduated?
He graduated 2018.
Okay, sweet. So you guys have any crossover?
No crossover. I was a year after him.
Damn.
Yep.
That would have been sweet, man, to be in the backfield with dude. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, that would have been sweet. Yeah.
Man. Either way, we had talked about Hard Knocks Live. It'll be interesting, but let's talk about you. We didn't get you on here to talk about HBO productions or any shit like that. So one more year for you, right? And it feels like again, from an outsider's perspective, looks like the last couple years just slowly gaining stock, right? Getting more of that responsibility in the backfield, taking more of the workload. And this year, I mean, there's a chance here with McNeil, who you split a lot of carries with last year, for you to be that true feature back coming right out of the backfield. Man, what can we expect? Like, I'm talking like some crazy fantasy number type season out of you, man. But seriously, like, what kind of production with that new workload can we expect out of you?
I'm expecting a big workload this year, taking on some new roles, coming out the backfield, catching the ball more, focusing on more explosive plays and stuff like that. Actually, Daryl's coming back it's going to be me and Daryl again next year.
You serious?
So he's come back for his COVID. Yeah, he's come back for his COVID.
Okay, I didn't know, because I saw a redshirt senior, and I'm thinking, okay, he's got to be gone. But so you guys have both of you back?
Yeah, so I mean, we probably got one. I say we have the best duo in the country. So I mean, I think that it's going to be a big year for both of us. And me personally, my goal is to be an All-American. So I mean, I think it's very doable, and it's going to be a great year.
That's awesome, dude. I did not know that. I guess it's so hard now too, because like we're starting to phase out like the COVID year kind of guys, but there's still a lot left over. And man, trying to do research when we do these like team highlights and I try and get these podcasts ready, it is almost impossible to try and find out sometimes who's playing where, because especially this time of year, right? Like teams don't have extremely updated rosters sometimes. You never know who does, but man, that's exciting for you guys. Bringing that backfield back is going to be awesome. How do his and your game, really complement each other?
I think we both do decent amount of things well. So I mean, Daryl, he's a bigger guy. He's supposed to do tackles and stuff like that. But I'm more of a guy that you could get open in space. I could go run routes. I create mismatches for opposing linebackers and stuff like that. So I mean, I think we complement each other pretty well. And I mean, it shows because he was first team all conference. I was second team all conference.
Oh yeah.
And so
I mean, the fact you're able to do that, like you said, coming out of the same backfield where at a position like you have to split reps. Like there's no, potentially you do have some 2-back sets or whatever, but that's not going to be something that's usually mainstay in most offensive schemes. The fact that you guys, I want to say, both had over 100 carries last year. Like that volume, that absolute volume for both of you is really wild. What were those conversations like leading into the year, knowing that, hey, both you guys are like this level of athlete going into it, man? Like, what were those conversations like with your OC, with your head coach? Like, yeah, we're going to try and just use the shit out of both of you.
Yeah. So coming into the season, I had broke my ankle in April
Okay.
of 2022. So 3 months before the season, I broke my ankle.
Man.
And yeah, dislocated and broke my fibula. So I have screws in my ankle and stuff like that.
Whew.
So I ended up getting my second surgery July 27th, which was 2 weeks before camp.
Oh, I know it, man.
And yeah, so just before the season, I was just trying to get back. So I was rehabbing. I didn't really participate in camp too much. And I was coming off a pretty strong sophomore year. And I was down because obviously the injury and stuff like that. But talking to my OC and stuff like that, talking to my family, what was the best decision? Should I try and sit out? Should I try and come back? Me being the competitor I am, I feel like I had to come back. So
I hear you.
obviously the first game of the year, I didn't really play too much. I played probably 5 plays. Talking to my OC, and he said he's gonna be limit me and try and work me back slowly. And then the second game I end up starting, but me and Daryl complement each other. So I already knew going into the year that me and him were going to be a dynamic duo. So that's what's going. It's going to be hard for teams to stop us next year too. So
big time, dude. Now this offseason, no hiccups. We're heading to this thing healthy or what?
Yeah, I'm heading to this thing 110% healthy.
Let's go. That's what we want to hear always, man. That's tough, man. Because you're right. Like I think a lot of people lose the fact that these, we're training all off season, right? And there are certainly. I just had a surgery on my knee 2 weeks ago because I was sitting there lifting, and now I've got, another couple screws or whatever in there, and that it happens everywhere. Like those stories are all over the place, and people I think forget the fact that it's not just on the field these things happen; it happens everywhere. But this off season, anything else you're trying to add to your game, or you're just like shoring up all the areas and just improving, man?
So this off season, I'm pretty much working on. I'm going to be motioned out a little bit more this year, so just working on releases, working on my routes, working on top of the route, stuff like that. So just to be able to be on the field with me and Daryl in different type of ways. So we're gonna see. I'm not gonna say too much because we got assumption, but
hey, you don't gotta give too much away on here. I just gotta ask. You know what I mean? Now, if we were lining up against each other in the fall, then maybe I ask a couple more questions. But you guys over there, PSAC, that's all right. That's straight. So that's exciting for you, man. I think that's a good point too. Like you make it to a point where they can't keep you off the field. Right? Like make yourself so invaluable that, and that's what you tell a lot of, especially younger guys, right? Who are trying to work their way into positions. Like you just got to put yourself in a position that your team is like a team need, a team-based need type of situation. I think that's a good mindset to go about it. And I guess the one more piece on that before we move on is like in practice, when you have another dude that, yes, you're competing with, but also like that's your guy. That's gotta be awesome. Your guy's dynamic and being able to elevate each other's game, and also just simply fresh legs, right? When you go in there and you get a couple carries, running back is like riding the hot hand in basketball, right? You're giving the ball to the shooter, or if a dude's just getting crazy yards after contact, you keep handing him the rock. But what is that dynamic like between the two of you?
It's great. I mean, we're very supportive of each other. There was a couple games that we could both went over 100 yards in the game. So
damn, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude.
So I mean, one thing I'll never forget. It was against Mercyhurst, our third game of the year. Okay. Me and Daryl combined for 6 touchdowns, and we just supported each other. Like, yo, you gonna score, I'm gonna score. Like, we taking turns. So it's like it's nice to have that. And we got some other guys on that offense that's gonna be dynamic this year too. So
I love it, man. Now you're gonna need it because that league down there, the PSAC, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, this team, you can certainly make the argument, some of the best depth of competition in the entire country. You talk from the top to the bottom. All of these teams now all of a sudden have a little bit of hype around them heading into the fall, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this conference shakes out. What have been the thoughts from you guys over there? I'm sure you guys are all in the same boat. Like you guys have a chance to really make a run at this thing.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's our goal. Our goal is past the PSAC championship. Our goal is to go 1-0 every week, but some teams have forgot about it. You can say
the coach speak, bro. I hear that every week. Come on now.
Yeah, but I mean. To be honest, like I feel like people wrote us off just because we went 8-3 last year, which is still a bad season. Like we beat Slippery Rock and stuff like that. So I mean, it's cool if people was writing us off. People probably got other teams in our conference over us, but we know what talent we bring to the table. Like I got my ring sitting back there, and I'm trying to get another one. So.
Let's go. That might be the Twitter quote right there. That's solid. That's real good, bro. But I love that, and I think you're 100% right. Like in a league like that, really anything can happen. Now, I wanted to ask, too, like, what made you end up at Kutztown? And also, like, what is the D2, D3 scene like back home in New Jersey? Because that's just an area that I'm not 100% familiar with.
So I ended up at Kutztown. It had a weird kind of recruitment. So I mean, I like everyone talked to the Division One teams and stuff like that. But my senior year, I was talking to Monmouth pretty heavily, and I
Okay.
thought I was set. I'm telling my mom like I'm going to Monmouth. I'm going to Monmouth. They're gonna offer me. I'm going to Monmouth. And I was waiting around, and it was still January. I didn't get the call from them, and I had people in my ear telling me go prep because they're gonna offer you if you go prep, blase blase. And then I started getting multiple Division two offers. So Kutztown, New Haven, let's see, Southern Connecticut, those type of schools were offering me and stuff like that. So I took a visit to New Haven, didn't really catch the vibe there. And I was set between New Haven and Kutztown. And then when I visited Kutztown, met my OC, Coach Quarterman, and I just fell in love right there. And the guys and the brotherhood there was just outstanding. And it helped that Craig was there. Craig was there the year before, and obviously my dreams, aspirations to play on that next level.
Yeah.
And he done it. So it's like I could do it if it's any Division two school. I feel like I could do it here. And yeah,
That's big, dude. And like to bring a guy on campus and to have him at least, at least interact with someone like that and to see, I mean, the blueprint is 100% there, right? Like, and that's what this is all about, right? You could go to any level of football, and what's like the oldest saying in the book, right? Like if you can play, they're gonna find you, and that's tried and true. I was actually surprised that there were only 2 D2 guys drafted this year. Now, obviously, a ton more got some undrafted deals and are with professional teams right now, which is absolutely awesome. One of them was actually the quarterback from New Haven, Degenhart, Connor Degenhart, right?
Yep,
so
Connor Degenhart.
Shout out to him as well. Shout out to Connor. But that's a really sweet experience. Did you? I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe not now, but do you host a lot of recruits now, or do they throw a lot of you guys, those guys, your way, or what?
I mean, my freshman and sophomore year, they threw me some guys, but if they trying to really get a guy, they'll throw them to me. They'll tell me text them on Twitter.
You like the last
like
call.
that.
You like here, like we got to bring in.
Yeah.
We need to land this guy. Let me get Jordan on the line real quick.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a relatable person. So, I mean, that's really what it's for. I mean, if I'm not helping the next man, what am I really there for? So.
I like that, dude. Yeah. You got any tips or tricks how to land these guys, man? I might be taking notes here.
I mean, personally, just telling the truth. I feel like a lot of people just be upfront. Like they ask me what I like about Kutztown, I tell them the truth, and it's really rare. It's really rare what Kutztown has, because it might seem like we get a lot because we win and stuff like that, but we really don't get anything. Like I could tell you stories about stuff that happens in school like no one will believe, and it's just like it's crazy, but a lot of people dig that. Like we get it. I feel like all my teammates say we really get out the mud, and it really shows, because we're not the biggest, we don't have the most scholarship money, but we go out there and we compete with like top dogs. So.
Yeah, I love that, man. You're this opening slate for your guys' season here, 2023. You open your first 2 games on the road at Assumption and then at California PA, the Vulcans. Certainly not a cupcake schedule of the year, right? This isn't Michigan State opening with Bowling Green. I think it is the thing this year. That's my my Michigan take on it. But you guys, man, right out the gate, a couple pretty proven teams in that area. I mean, it's got to be like pedal to the metal right now. As soon as camp starts, I'm assuming that energy is going to be crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely, because we got shut out by Assumption last year. So we got sick taste. We got sick taste in our mouth right now. So I know the guys going to come out there. We're going to go out to Assumption, and we're going to be ready. We're going to be ready for sure.
For sure, dude. I want to talk a little bit about the sponsorship, the partnership. Like I said, super excited to have you be a part of this thing. I was watching the ESPYs the other night, and I thought, because I thought we should do awards before, but I was like, man, what if we did like a little live? Obviously, all the guys wouldn't be here in person. That would be sick, but I don't have the money to fly y'all out, just to be honest with you. You know what I mean? But if we had maybe a little Twitter space or a YouTube live show, like we did a little ESPY ceremony, I think that could be pretty cool. D1R ESPYs. This is the soft launch.
Yeah, that'll be dope for real.
I think that'd be pretty sick, man. We'd have to mix in some fun awards in there, and I don't know if I would write like a monologue. I don't know if I'd be able to top McAfee's the other night with some of his digs at Skip and all those guys. But what award would you be gunning for? And all of them is not an acceptable answer, by the way.
If there was like let me think.
I put you on the spot with this one. I do at least once an episode. I like to get a quick response out of dudes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Probably offensive player of the year.
Okay,
we'll go with that.
You go simple. Yeah, that's straight. That's straight.
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking we need some fun ones. We need like you know what I mean, like a Twitter fingers type, or we need the craziest, like, I don't know.
touchdown
Now I'm on the spot. Now I can't
celebration,
think of
like
something.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but no, I think we're gonna have some really good opportunities to do some fun things like that. And obviously, I told Ian, Ian Marshall on our last episode, like whatever you guys think, like that's what I want to get out of it. So whenever you have ideas and things that you see or things that you'd like to see, man, I think your feedback is big, dude. But what's the off-season schedule look like for you right now besides just training? You working a job, taking any summer classes, anything else?
I'm just working right now, working and working out. That's all I got time for.
Working and working out, dude.
Yeah, working and working out. You getting money, and getting money on the field too. So that's
how to do
really all. I feel like this is the biggest off season of my life because you never know what the future holds and stuff like that. So just surrounding myself around great people, and I feel like I've been doing that, stepping in some rooms that I never thought I would be in. So, I mean, yeah, that's what my summer consisted of so far.
Good for you, man. And now, obviously, a guy who has aspirations to play at the next level. And, of course, first things first, before you do start really sitting down and trying to make some of those decisions and putting yourself in that spot, you got to compete in the fall, right? You have to put up the numbers and show that production once again. Not that you haven't done it already, but, I mean, looking forward, that's going to be pretty exciting stuff. What do you think about kind of, again, not to counter, what's the expression, counter chicken before they hatch or something along those lines, but got to be exciting right now to kind of enter this phase of your life and really start looking towards the next couple steps.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I just can't wait to get back to campus right now because I just felt like last year I didn't play 100% healthy, and it kind of in some games it showed. But I'm just excited to really get back and ball with my guys. So, yeah, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna do what we gotta do on the field, and we're gonna have that talk with my family later what I want to do after. So.
Exactly. Like I said, you take care of business. We know you're going to. Jordan, thank you very much, bro. That's all I have for you tonight. Really appreciate you. Like I said, excited to have you be a part of this thing. And, man, whatever you need, whatever ideas you got for me, you shoot them my way. You got my number, all right, brother?
Yep, for sure.
All right, I'll see you, my man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jordan, for joining the show. Excited to see the breakout year he has. Fellas, I thought his other running back, the two of them at Kutztown, had split carries, both over 100 carries last year. McNeil is actually coming back as well. So potentially one of the most dangerous running back duos in the country at the Division II level. McNeil was a first-team All-PSAC selection. Jordan was second-team. You don't see that very often.
No, that's very
tough.
rare.
Yeah. So really exciting for him and that whole squad down there. They went 8-3 last year, and they're poised again to have a really large year. But before we get into a lot of this stuff, fellas, I wanted to briefly go over the Division III preseason All-Americans, those being selected by the College Football Network, our guy Michael over there who makes these picks. And I told him, I said, when you do this stuff, man, we're going to cover it. So let's take a look at this one, guys. Starting with the first-team All-American offense. The quarterback, pretty obvious choice here, Braxton Plunk from Mount Union. That is a guy that, I mean, as far as Division III goes, there's not much more pub you can get than a guy like Braxton. He certainly, I think, deserves that list. And he's one of those guys that when these lists get announced, everyone starts arguing, right? Because they want to pick their home team favorite, whatever. You don't see a lot of guys questioning that pick. So I think that speaks volumes about his level of play. At the running back position, you got Hunter Klassen from Wartburg, another team we've talked a little bit about and definitely going to be highlighting in the future. A lot of Mount Union guys on this list. DeAndre Parker in the backfield out of Mount Union. Then you go out into the flex with Cornell Beecham Jr. from Mount St. Joseph. Wayne Ruby from Mount Union, a wide receiver there that has made a lot of headlines as of late as well. D'Angelo Hardy from North Central. Then when they get into the wide receivers here with J.D. Kidder from Bethel. Angel Sanchez from UMass Dartmouth. You've got Alex Larson from St. John's at the tight end spot along with Ben Juska from Wheaton. And Carson Barrett, from Mount Union. Man, this could have just been Mount Union's offense.
Pretty much.
That's all it is.
It's crazy, too, because they made it to the Natty, but they ain't win that thing. That's crazy. Jeske Maples from North Central, another Cardinal on there. Tucker Kinney, Mike Barosha, and Ethan Ruckman from Mary Hardin Baylor. So a lot of these names, too, it is interesting to me to say, like, I know all of these team names. So, like, to me, that's like, okay, like, all of these teams are obviously very relevant right now. We don't have a lot of guys, which actually the D3 level is kind of surprising, that are showing out from these random schools in the middle of nowhere. I think that does happen sometimes, especially at D3 when you have just this wide landscape. And even, admittedly, myself, I'm still learning new teams every single day. So, as far as these picks go, they seem pretty obvious. I know I'm certainly not educated enough to talk specifically about a lot of these guys' individual game. I'm sure you guys will probably be in the same boat. Can I speak for you and say that?
The only thing I was surprised when I was looking at it is looking at the schools. There's only one UW school.
Yes, that is a
There's
very good
only
point.
one
Out of the
UW
WIAC
school
or the
in
WIAC, I don't know.
Yeah, and they got three
For sure.
powerhouses with Oshkosh, Lacrosse, and Whitewater in that league, and there's only one guy on that list from there, and I was surprised when I saw that.
Agreed. And you look at even a school like River Falls actually has a lot of hype around them coming this year. I think part of that has to do with the momentum they finished out last year with winning that Culver's Isthmus Bowl, that little conference combination bowl they do there with the WAC and the other conference I'm blanking on. But they had a little bit of momentum coming out of last year. They have a lot of key returners, and you don't see a lot of that. But again, moving forward to the other teams, I'm sure you will see there are some more picks out of that conference. He is not the sole player from the Wisconsin League to make any of these rankings. With that being said, heading over to the first team defense, All-American side of things. Luke Schumann there, Johns Hopkins, you go down, and Dan Lester, the defensive lineman from North Central. Dawson Dietz from Washington and Jefferson. So now we're getting some more names here. Jack Kelly, there you go, from La Crosse. And you keep moving down here. Owen Grover from Wartburg. Robert Corey from Carnegie Mellon. As a team we actually have not talked a whole lot about on this podcast. Probably because the guy from Carnegie Mellon that came into my high school to recruit me was not going to say that expletive, but not a great human.
Not your favorite.
No. So sorry, Carnegie. We'll get on you eventually, man. But I just have not felt very inclined to talk about your squad. I'm sure there's a lot of great guys down there, too. But moving forward, Rossi Moore from Mount Union. We've got Caleb Harmel from Trinity, Texas, a team that we definitely will be talking about here soon. Antoine Walker from North Central. And you've got Michael Brown from UW River Falls. He's in that graphic there pictured. Where am I at here? Griffin Pendry from Heidelberg. That's a name that we have not heard a whole lot about out of Ohio, I believe, correct? Heidelberg, a team that has not had a lot of recent success. No. So there's one of those squads that maybe you have one guy that really has been filling up the stat book and making a name for himself. But again, moving down the list, Christian Herda from Springfield, Vicente Garcia, sorry if I butchered that one, from Redlands, BJ Stewart from Trinity, Texas as well. And then finally, Blake Ashley, the long snapper, out of Bridgewater. Fellas, we will probably stick on just first team today because, like I said, I wish I could evaluate. If you want to see the second team picks from the College Football Network, be sure to check him out on Twitter and Instagram. But unfortunately, I just personally can't elaborate on a lot of these guys' game. And guys, if I had all the time in the world and I could watch all their film, I absolutely would. Unfortunately, I cannot. So we will move on. And we're going to talk about two teams making the jump to the Division II level. One of them is currently in the NAIA scene, the other in the Division III scene. And guys, we'll start with the one that is a little bit closer to home for us, that being the Roosevelt Lakers, the NAIA team out of downtown Chicago, which is a very exciting piece for the GLIAC and for Division II in general because they are the only Division II team out of downtown Chicago. We'll take a look at their video quickly before we hop into their conversation. This is the launch video tweeted out of Roosevelt Laker football today.
What excites me the most about the move to NCAA Division II is all the different academic, athletic, and social opportunities that will expand that Roosevelt University already offers our students, but now it'll encompass the governing body of the NCAA, which will bring some national attention to our students, but also some national opportunities for our students. I'm very excited about the competition level that we're going to face as a football program specifically, but most importantly for our student-athlete experience, just to be not only compete nationally, but recognized nationally. We'll highlight what Roosevelt University already does well and give it the deserved attention.
So you heard him talk a bit there. First of all,
can you be a little more excited about
I was about to say that. Coach, I'm sure you're a fantastic human, Coach. You know what? I'm sure you guys love you. But, man, if you told me there was a gun to your head behind the camera there, I would have believed it. Let's get amped up a little bit. We're going to Division II. Hey, fellas, we've been playing the NAIA scene for the last couple of years here. You're about to strap it up against Ferris State next fall in Grand Valley.
That's what I was going to say. I'm like, you're not even going D2. You're going to the GLIAC.
Yes, and you heard him touch on that conference scheduling and the strength of scheduling and those type of things, which is a very valid point. And you think that would hype a person up. You get to show your stuff against some of the best competition in the country. That was the first takeaway as well.
Maybe that's just how he is, though. Maybe he's just very
cool, calm, collected.
You know what? Who are we to judge? But Roosevelt currently in the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference, the CCAC, if you will. They will not start competing at the D2 level until next year, the 2024-25 season, joining our conference, our being Northern Michigan University. And they will not be eligible for the playoffs until 2026-27 season.
Which is I don't understand.
I don't get 2 years.
I don't get that.
For what reason?
That's a great question. I don't know. Why would you? I mean, we can speculate. Why would you make that rule?
I really don't understand.
Take kids. Maybe different rulings with kids, like eligibility wise. Like if they're going from the NAIA to the college to NCAA, eligibility things.
That could be a good point because obviously NAIA is not a part of the NCAA, so it might be
different. They don't have the same rules. I know they don't have the same rules.
This is a long shot. But NAIA drug testing is very different to NCAA drug testing.
So that might actually have something to do with it, though.
And you get more heavily drug tested once you make the playoffs. I know that's a fact.
Very true. You're absolutely correct.
So it might be having starting to adjust to that new drug system, drug testing. I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with something that makes logical sense.
Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that it is NAIA to an NCAA institution school, I think is probably a huge part of that. But you have to think, too, coming from the NAIA level, it certainly is not like, again, they're also joining the GLIAC, but you don't expect teams to make that jump and then, oh, holy shit, you're in the national semifinals. You're even making the playoffs.
No, that's
right. We had a two-loss Davenport team last year that, barely squeaked their way into the playoffs. You don't just accidentally end up in the playoffs.
No, two-loss Davenport team that was legit.
Yeah.
I mean, real good with dudes from everywhere.
Absolutely. It is interesting. So I brought up just some more info here, and they submitted its application to join NCAA D2 on February 1st of 2023, apparently. But I know we had talked about this way before then, so this article I do believe is incorrect. So if you want to hear from the former associate commissioner of the GLIAC, he is no longer there, but Cam Trudell, who was a good connection of mine. We've had him on the podcast a few times, but I can put a little card to the video if you want to check it out. Hopefully I remember to go back and post and do that. But we talked with him as soon as this news broke about Roosevelt entering the conference. And in August of last year, they received what's called provisional membership to join the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. And it's just very, very interesting how the whole process goes. As far as what they bring to the conference, it's not just football that they are bringing to the conference. Yeah. They have 23 varsity programs, more than 500 student athletes. So very cool opportunity for them. And
I can't even imagine what it takes to go from the NAIA level to NCAA, having to switch scholarships and having to do all that. I can't even imagine
and I want to say I read somewhere and you guys can maybe fact check me on this, but NAIA was 24-ish scholarships as far as
it's something. It's not as big as NCAA. I mean, the money's
because Division II is 36 full equivalencies of the school's tuition.
Is it 36 or is it 32?
Oh, it might be 32.
I don't remember.
One or the other.
I think.
Look at us. We don't even know.
D1 is 36.
No. D1 FBS is 85 full.
Dang,
I don't know where you got that from.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Damn, I didn't know
FCS has 65 or so, but they can technically, I believe, give partials.
FCS can.
Yes.
Yeah. FCS, I don't know, is it partials or they can just give, well, I guess that would be partial.
They can, but they can also give, you could always, any level that gives money can give full. D2 can technically give full, but you don't see that because guys get FAFSA or they get academic money. So you're usually just giving a partial to try and get them to a certain number. And that's, man, imagine trying to juggle all those numbers for
that's what I'm saying.
Guys doing that.
You know what's going to be weird?
What's that?
Roosevelt's going to be the third Lakers to be in the GLIAC because we have Grand Valley and then Lake State. They don't have Lake Superior State. They don't have football, but they're also.
But they technically are the Lakers. You're
correct. They are the Lakers.
So. That is weird. That's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
So basketball matchup.
There's only
Lakers versus Lakers, and then Lakers versus Lakers next week probably.
That's
that's gonna be weird.
That's such an odd mascot too. It's not like it's the Tigers or something. It's just,
but it's just because they're all near the Great Lakes. I mean, that's why.
It is really exciting that we have a Division II presence in Chicago right now. That is something that has not been there since I want to say because Robert Morris is Division I, correct?
Yes,
they are,
and Loyola's Division I as well.
Yes, but do they have football?
They don't have.
No, they don't have football, but they're still D1 in all sports.
Yes.
But Robert Morris, do they still have football there?
They do, I believe. I thought. Maybe
don't know.
not.
No,
'Cause I did think they merged, though, I thought. We have to
But then Robert Morris.
Well, that's where I think isn't that where they're playing? Isn't that's where Roosevelt's
no
playing? I
idea.
thought they were playing at Robert Morris Field.
Yeah, but then I got confused because
No, Robert Morris does still have football. Just verified for you guys.
I
I've
know
got their 2023 schedule right here, actually.
they play.
They play Air Force, Youngstown State, Lynchburg, Howard, Gardner-Webb, Bryant, Tennessee Tech, South Missouri. So, yeah, it's a Division I schedule there, man.
Yeah, they must be. I'm guessing they're FCS though.
Yes, because
They have to
Bryant and
be.
a lot of these
Yeah.
Tennessee Tech, all these schools, but they do play some FBS teams, you know.
Yeah.
So, very interesting stuff there. But the other team we wanted to talk about is Sul Ross State. Have you guys heard anything about Sul Ross State? First
No.
time they've been on my radar. They're out of Texas.
Where at in Texas?
That is a good question, Jack. Why don't you go ahead and find that out for me? But Sul Ross State, SUL, Sul Ross State. They have been approved for competition, in the NCAA Division II.
I got it.
And their athletic department received
Alpine.
word today,
Alpine,
as we're
Texas.
recording this, from the NCAA. It has been approved for Division II athletic competition. They are from
Alpine, Texas,
Alpine, Texas.
which
There you go.
is
I'm trying to figure out, give me a.
is in the middle of nowhere.
This is a team that will join Division II competition as part of the Lone Star Conference in fall of 2024, so the same timeline as Roosevelt. And that comes at a very good time for the Lone Star because the Lone Star is, borderline unstable at this point. You lose, we were just talking about him before the show, Simon Frazier. You lose Simon Frazier out of that conference, and you have Western Oregon, and what was it, there's a Central Washington?
Central Washington.
In that
Who's
league.
still pretty prominent in that league. But
They are, but the fact
only
that
3.
geographically, you know what I
well,
mean?
that's the thing. Yeah, how that's going to be travel.
It's the Lone Star
crazy.
Conference,
Yeah.
not the frickin' Western United States Conference. So you still have your mainstays in the program, your West Texas A&M, your Texas A&M Kingsville, your Angelo State, and those type of squads.
Yeah.
You still have your mainstays, but definitely a big pickup for them to capitalize on another Texas school to join their conference and to beef up their numbers, because that's the same thing with the GLIAC. You look at the GLIAC right now, as far as just strictly football is concerned, because you look at Lake State and Parkside, who don't have football. Purdue Northwest, that doesn't have football teams. You got 3 members right there that don't even have it. So you're talking about Northern, you got Tech, you've got Saginaw, Grand Valley, Ferris, Davenport, Wayne.
7.
7 institutions. Good math right there.
I
7
looked at your
football.
hands.
7 football institutions in the GLIAC, though, and that's why we have all these out of conference games. You look at the NSIC. This is the first year they're doing out of conference games, and they only get 1 apiece because their conference has been so large and so prominent over there. They haven't even had the need to, which is very interesting.
That's wild.
Isn't that crazy?
But I feel like that's not. I almost like having a few out of conference games.
Oh, it's way more
It's
entertaining.
different. Like we're going to Duluth this year. That's something different,
And Northern State's coming here.
Yeah.
And for the college experience of being an athlete in college, it's cool to go to different locations and
Even if it is just Minnesota.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
I love going places. I remember my first year when we went to McKendree.
that was cool.
It was just different, The 13-hour bus ride wasn't as fun, but
The athletic director at Sul Ross, Amanda Workman, completed the application in January 2023, it says. She said it was the student-athlete experience was the rationale for exploring the change. I don't know. The D3, presence down there is pretty big in Texas. Football itself in the whole state is obviously massive.
Everything is bigger
Yeah.
in Texas.
Exactly.
Kobe.
But she said that, quote, we'll be attracting more students who will be able to continue to participate in sports after high school. No shit. It makes us more competitive on the field, and we believe it'll increase enrollment and augment retention efforts. Ultimately, our goal is to have all student athletes graduate with a degree from SRSU.
well, I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's not gonna help your enrollment because you're in the absolute middle of nowhere.
It's in the boot of Texas, the little
The closest city is Chihuahua, Mexico.
Chihuahua?
Mexico, yes, it is the closest actual big city.
serious?
there's
You're probably closer to New Mexico than you are to any
there's Fort Davis, Fort Stockton.
Yeah,
you know
you
those
were-
places? Because I
Never heard of him in my life.
The biggest near is probably Midland, but ones that we would know is San Antonio, and that's probably
Take a look at these
12
unis, though, from Sul Ross. That's pretty
Those are
clean.
sweet. Those are nice.
What's their logo?
Sul Ross, you are on my radar right now. Their logo, I believe, is quite literally an SR. There's not a whole lot else going on those uniforms. I can pull up another picture here if you give me a second.
They're the
I'm trying
Lobos.
They are the
Lobo?
Lobos. That
They're
is
the
correct.
Lobos.
They're the Lobos, which is
That's a good logo.
it's actually kind of sweet. Here is a better shot of the logo here on the side of the helmet for you guys. There
Those
you
are
have it.
sweet.
I really like those uniforms.
I like
They're
that
really clean.
That gray that they have,
Western Kentucky vibes?
kind of.
A little bit?
A little
A little
bit.
bit different gray, but
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what kind of correlates
Because they're more
to that.
like they're like chrome almost.
You're right. No, Western
Yeah.
Kentucky definitely is.
Yeah.
But these, I mean, that shiny red compared to more of the matte finish gray.
I love the
is a
matte
good
gray.
look.
I like anything like matte. A matte helmet,
I'm
I
with
think,
that.
is sweet.
I'm with that. The red face mask work really well on this
Yeah.
uniform too. This didn't really turn into a uniform critique, but I mean, for a lot of our audience, they've probably never heard of this team either. So we're all just being introduced to them now.
Yeah, sweet.
Shout out to the Lobos.
Yep.
Wonder what their mascot is in the spirit of talking mascots.
He's a Lobo.
Oh, he's a Lobo.
He's a wolf.
Trevor, what the hell is a Lobo?
I don't know.
It's the New Mexico. Who's else is the Lobos? New Mexico? Am I right by saying that?
I don't know.
No, New Mexico
You're
State.
asking the wrong
No,
guys.
New Mexico State's the
One of them.
Cowboy Aggies. Cowboys. What is it?
I don't.
Is it
It's
Gaucho?
the dude with the.
It's the I keep thinking of the logo.
Yeah, he's got. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know
Yeah.
what it is. It's either Gaucho or Cowboy.
Can you see that from over there, Kobe?
It's overexposed on the camera, but I can see it. Yes, but either way.
I wasn't trying to show the camera. I was trying to show you.
Oh, then I
just
saw
so
it.
you know.
I saw it just fine.
I didn't think the camera would be able
What
to
is
see.
what does overexposed on the camera mean?
I don't know, but I just went with it. Like I pretended.
Does
like I
that
knew
mean
what
like
that
the
meant.
phone can't see?
It's too bright, so the camera's exposure needs to be dialed down because we're not gonna. We can explain after the podcast.
All right. Well, that was some knowledge for podcast listeners.
Let's get into our team features for today. The first one, I figure we start with the D2 level.
Yes.
West Florida, Division II program out of the Gulf South Conference, a team that has, we talked about it in the beginning, they've had an insane amount of success. The stat that I gave right at the top here, they won the national title in 2019. They're the youngest startup program at any collegiate level to go from first season to championship title in 4 years. That's like the Vegas Golden Knights. What do they do it in? They do it in 4?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah.
think
Well,
they did.
they went
I'm
to
not a
the,
hockey
they went to the
guy.
championship the first year,
Yes, they did.
And
didn't
they
win it.
lost.
Yeah.
but I mean that's alone pretty sweet.
Yeah, but this squad right here, this West Florida team, has been making a lot of noise ever since they even started the program, and they have a lot to be really excited about because their second head coach in the history of the program, Coach Caleb Nobles, is taking the reins for them. Here is Coach Nobles right here. This is the man in charge of the Argonauts moving forward, and Coach Nobles has quite the interesting story, as in the last 2 years he spent on Dabo Sweeney's staff, over at Clemson, but really the part that's interesting about him is he spent 4 seasons as a player and a member of the coaching staff under Pete Shinnick, who was their previous head coach. So now he plays quarterback for them, coaches on the offensive side of the ball, leaves the staff to go to Clemson, get some of that great experience under his belt, and then when Coach Shinnick decided to take the job at Towson University, a Division I squad, then opens the door, comes back in, how you doing, keep it moving, coach in the building, probably was the obvious decision for the Argonauts.
You know what his position was at Clemson?
That I can probably...
Is he like a
He was offensive player development coach under head coach Dabo Sweeney, so probably some type of assistant role
that's
to the
cool.
head
That's
coach.
sweet though. Like
That's the best place to be.
I mean, one of the, for sure. And you talk about...
Be right under him, be right by his side the whole time, listen to everything he says.
I'm sure it's just
Good
being,
spot.
like you said, being around that facility, being around that caliber of a football program and learning those things from not only just Dabo, but his entire staff and that entire program has to be absolutely invaluable. He spent 3 seasons on Shinnick's staff from, I lost it there, 2017 to 2020 as a quarterback coach for the Argonauts. He was named the co-offensive coordinator in May of 2020. He was also the director of football operations for 2+ years. I mean, this guy not only is he a great coach, it's proven in the quarterbacks that he's had. I don't know if you guys know the name Austin Reed.
name sounds familiar.
Transferred from West Florida. He was the National Freshman of the Year after he threw for 4,000 yards
Wow.
and 270 yards per game to rank 13th nationally. He transfers to Western Kentucky, has a outstanding breakout year for them, the Hilltoppers, correct?
Yes.
And this guy has just had quarterbacks that have been absolutely phenomenal. Now, don't get me wrong. The quarterbacks themselves, great players, but the common denominator in all of their careers and their
Is him.
success is this guy right here. So a great offensive mind to be joining the Argonauts. The current quarterback for the Argonauts, Pee Wee Jarrett, we're going to talk about him in just a second. He's a guy who last year led this team to, I believe, the national semifinal. or a quarterfinal, excuse me, against Ferris.
Quarterfinal.
And Pee-wee is a talented dude as well. We've seen what he's done. He was All-American coming out of junior college and now has made his mark on West Florida. But again, this guy, I guess just shout out to Coach Nobles. Would love to have a chance to get him on the show sometime. But this team is definitely in great hands with his hands at the reins. Let's talk.
They also got that quarterback that was going to Florida.
Yes, we're going to talk about him.
That got in trouble.
Absolutely.
For saying a few things, and then he's going there too.
Very interesting, especially as far as we talk about quarterbacks. So we certainly will get into talking about that here in just a second. But before we do any of that, looking at the 2022 season for the Argonauts, just wanted to pull this up real quick for us, fellas. And if you take a look back at what they did last year, look at that record right there. 12-2 in the conference, 6-1. And some of these games, man, these scores, they certainly put the hurt on teams. But we've talked a lot about Delta State here in the past. Obviously, that locker room video we posted was pretty special. They lost to them in double overtime in the regular season. And if we fast forward, we'll go to the rest of it. Fast forward, they get their revenge right here in the playoffs. When not
hard to beat a good team
twice.
It
is.
That is the
it
running
absolutely
thing.
is,
Good
man.
team twice.
But you look through, and some really quality wins on this schedule. That loss to Delta State, obviously a tough one, but against North Greenville here, and then at number 15, West Georgia, they pull out that victory. Mississippi College, West Alabama is a big one, and then Valdosta State had a down year last year. We'll talk about the standings in the Gulf South Conference here in a little bit, but a win against Valdosta is a win against Valdosta.
They're still a
solid
good
program.
Yeah.
Jinx. Huh?
Look
Look at you two.
Look at that.
But moving through the rest of their schedule here, you get into the playoffs, and again, you see some of these scores, and you're like, man, Limestone, really good squad out of the SAC last year. They were running things over there in the SAC. They got into the playoffs, could not handle the offense from West Florida. And again, part of that too is they get to host that game. Things get different when you go to Ferris State. You're not playing down in Florida, guys. That is a big part of the game.
West side of Michigan in the winter.
Disgusting.
Not fun.
Wasn't it snowing that game?
It was snowing.
I was about to say,
Every playoff game.
Every playoff game.
I remember watching the Grand Valley Ferris
Yes.
State. That game was ugly.
It helps Ferris so much, though.
Oh, their style of play is totally designed around that because Coach Anise talked about his background coaching over there in that kind of Muskegon area. Yeah.
Coached at Muskegon for a bunch of years.
He knows exactly how to deal with it, man.
Yep.
Better than probably anybody else. But they were also the team to stop the Cinderella story Wingate team, who kind of barely squeaked into the playoffs, They were the third team out of the SAC conference, I believe, to get into the playoffs. And they ended up making a run. They beat the 1 seed in their region. And we talked about that a little bit, IUP. But ultimately, falling to Ferris State. We can continue to talk on West Florida here. Let's talk about those quarterbacks a little bit before we jump into anything else. Or we could go.
I can't think of what that kid's name is. Is it
don't worry. I have it all pulled up. But first, I should say, before we get into all that, let's take a look at some of the facilities down there at West Florida. This is the stadium down at West Florida. By the way, whoever took this shot, shout out Morgan Givens, their photographer down there, does a fantastic job. I wonder if this was his drone photo, but nice little stadium, nothing too crazy. They obviously have a really good turnout for a lot of their games. I do like the building in the back of the end zone is always a good touch on these college football stadiums.
And you know what I'm going to say about the field?
What's that?
You know what I'm going to say about the field, too?
What are you going to say? The lines? You like
lines.
that?
You know I like the lines.
I'm
we talked
big
about
on
it
the
last
lines.
episode.
We did. You're right. I'm big on the lines.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
Yeah. I like their just like a little thing here. Like their typeface, their font with like the way it has those little pieces. I don't even know how to describe that in the text. It's so like unique. If you can kind of get in the end zones there, if you can get a good view at that.
Am I tripping, or is the away bleachers grass?
Yeah, I don't know if those actually are bleachers. I think it's just a hill.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of masked by the fact there's a lot of people there, but I do believe that is just a hill.
That might be better than having like just crappy stands. You know what I mean?
No, I totally get what you mean.
Because then people just know to bring chairs.
People just know what
like lawn chairs.
I know exactly what you mean. Look, and I couldn't find a ton of really good pictures of the locker room, but I think this one probably does the best at kind of showing it off. Really nice wood lockers there. I do like how they have the mannequins with all their jersey combinations. We could say some of the best jersey combinations in small school football.
Yeah, great color combination.
Yeah, I was about to say they had a good color combination. I like that green and the yellow. Or the
There's no yellow,
buddy.
Do we need a color wheel for you for the
green and the yellow? Yeah, we need
in the room.
That's funny. I do really love their jersey combinations, though. I feel like are probably some of the most unique. I'm trying to see if I might have had a better picture of them on here, but I really don't. I should have been a little better prepared. But yeah, the greens, I mean, for them, I think are really sharp. They're definitely different than a lot of the things that we see, I think, typically out of these schools. It's a little bit of a risky color.
It is.
But it works.
The all white looks clean,
Yeah,
too.
that all white is nasty.
Really good complementary colors on the all white there. And then how about the weight room for West Florida? That's
Nice.
not too bad right there.
But then you also got to remember everything's so new there, too, because
You
they're
know
a new
what?
program.
True.
That is a very good point, because when you start in 2019, guess when all these were made?
2019.
Probably around then, yeah, a little before
Or-
then maybe.
or a little
Yeah,
before then,
18,
but-
yeah, but still.
They were ready for 2019.
Exactly. So when you talk about that, that's a very good point, is that a lot of these facilities are new. But I do like to highlight all the facilities of the teams that we have on here, because I think people do appreciate checking that out. But now, Jack, we can finally get into a little bit of the quarterback conversation with the Argonauts. Now, Pee Wee Jarrett, he's back for 2023. His 2022 stats, 33 touchdowns to 8 interceptions for him. We've had him on the show. Great human. Would love to get him back on here. Pee Wee's the man. 2,719 yards passing, 864 rushing last year. And you can make the argument, Kobe, he played in an extra 3 game. I don't give a shit. Those are playoff games against playoff teams. Those stats are hard earned. That's, at least is my take on it. 151 QBR.
That's really good.
It said quarterback rating on their website. I'm assuming that's the same metric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what
you
QBR
would
stands for.
think
You would
so.
think.
You would think, but
we'll go with that. But again, according to their website, right? That's the rating.
Yeah.
So he is the incumbent, is the correct term. If we're gonna get a kind of like election style on this thing, he's the incumbent at West Florida. The new kid on the block is Marcus Stokes.
am I supposed to know what incumbent means?
Incumbent?
It's like currently.
Oh, he's the dude. He's the dude.
Yes. So
Sure.
like if
He was the dude, and right now he is the dude.
say in the UP we have a House of Representatives rep, and someone's running against them, but this guy's already been in the House. He's the incumbent. He's been there before.
He's
That's
been
like,
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Usually here in like election talk, I'm bringing it to football because why not? You know what I mean? It makes sense.
more learning for you guys here.
I love it. But he is the incumbent. Marcus Stokes is the one who is going to be giving him potentially a run for his money. I have not seen any film of the kid.
He's legit.
He's obviously a
legit.
really talented quarterback.
Wasn't he a 5-star?
So yeah, we're gonna talk about it right here.
4, yeah,
UWF, the former Florida quarterback commitment. He's heading over to West Florida, and kind of a controversial decision here for Coach Nobles. He was a St. Augustine Nice high school. He was rated the number 14 quarterback prospect in the nation by one of the publications. During entering the season, visited UVF, and although I do believe he had some other potentially smaller D1 schools.
He committed to Penn State originally, and then he wanted to stay home, committed to Florida, and then everything kind of hit the fan for him.
Yes. So, the controversy around Stokes, committed to Florida, and then in mid-November, a video surfaced on social media. The downfall of just too many people today, it seems like. And he's singing a song in the car, says a couple things that definitely, for a man of his complexion, not supposed to say that.
No.
Yep.
I think it's the pretty easiest way to say that, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Don't get me wrong. I get shit happens, but like, don't put yourself in that situation.
Exactly.
Don't even let that be a possibility, right? Because now you see what happens. And the kid's life isn't over. Like, he's still got a chance to play a lot of really great football, and I hope he really does. But
I hope that
definitely squandered away an opportunity there.
No, I think he. I saw some of his. He's got a huge following.
Does he?
On social media, like, huge TikTok and Instagram following. And
I mean,
I saw
his
some
name
of
was probably in headlines for a little bit there, and
yeah.
all of that causes Billy Napier to drop his scholarship offer. Now he went to the same high school as Tim Tebow. Kind of a interesting fact. That's why I dropped the name a little bit earlier, which is kind of neat. Now, after the fallout, he was offered by Albany State, but then they withdrew the offer because the coach learned about what happened. Albany State's actually at HBCU. That probably wasn't going to fly.
Probably not.
No,
Probably not.
I don't think so. But
Well, I mean, yeah.
all this aside, right, when Coach Nobles was asked about this, right, and he talked about what it was like to have him on campus. He said, quote, "We brought him in here. We really didn't talk much football. It was about everything that has gone on with him in the past and just making sure his apology was sincere." That's what Nobles said. So definitely seems like his priority's in the right place. Like, hey, we know what the hell kind of football player we're getting. We've seen the tape. We've seen what you can do with your arm, with your leg, with your brain. We've seen what you can do with all that. I need to know if the character that we're getting is good enough to put on the field and to represent this program, because Coach Noble is obviously a guy that is very prideful of this West Florida Argonauts team. And you know what? He obviously felt really good about the kid that he got there, because he said, quote, again, we feel good about the person we're getting and, more importantly, the player. And that was kind of it. I mean,
I think you got to make
like an obvious choice.
Yeah, I think you got to make a pretty good apology to, like, you know, almost opening day, kind of right off the rip, because everyone's going to know who you are.
Yep.
You don't have 100,000 followers on TikTok and no one knows who you are, you know?
Yes.
So I think you got to open up with a good apology and, you know, hope that you can earn some trust back.
Absolutely.
With everybody on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, definitely interesting there, and that will be, you know, maybe he doesn't come in and challenge Pee Wee for the job right away. Like, we don't have, you know, we don't know what's going on down there. Pee Wee's the guy for them. Like, he is the guy. It would take definitely a lot of motion down there to usurp him from the throne that is the starting quarterback.
But he's also going to be a freshman, so
yes, I believe so. Right?
It's probably good for him to learn under Pee Wee for a year, because he has 1 year left, right?
I do believe so. I think this is his last. I want to say. So no, it's a great point. I mean, that's like bringing in a rookie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Have him learn under the vet. Pretty cool stuff. Now, moving on for them, other key contributors, especially on the offensive side of the ball. 2022 leading rusher, Shamari Mason. He's not coming back. He's in the portal. Their other primary back, Ravion Hargrove, he's now at Texas A&M Commerce. Excuse me. You lose your 2 starting rushers last year out of that backfield. That's kind of a big blow for these guys. And don't get me wrong, this offense, as high-powered as they are, they're going to find somebody else to get back there and
just
tote
say
the damn rock.
Same thing. Yeah. They got to have.
I love it.
They got to have. You don't have West Florida and you're that good. I think you can recruit some running backs.
Absolutely.
Or already have some on your roster, too.
That also is actually a very good point. Like, and we know they've gone to the portal a little bit. We're going to talk about some of the teams that they've got. Some of the teams, some of the players they got out of the portal. But when you talk about pure production, though, and like pure workload, I think at the running back position is very important. And again, I'm biased. I'm a running back, but I look at this stuff. Shamari Mason had 152 carries last year. Hargrove, 101 carries. There's one other guy over 100 carries. Who do you think it was?
Pee Wee.
It was Pee Wee. Had 133. Wow.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong. He's a big frame on him. He's a durable guy. Yeah. He can take some hits, but 130.
You don't want your
I don't. What is? Do you know his height, weight?
I can get it to you in about 3 seconds. He's listed at 6'3", 245. He's a big human. Pee Wee is that dude.
Damn. When you got a name Pee Wee, I mean, you would think that, you know, he's a smaller person.
He's undersized his whole life, chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, you know.
No, Pee Wee is a man.
That's a dude. Damn.
I love that. I didn't even think about like that because I already know like
who he is.
Yeah, I know who Pee Wee is, but that's pretty funny.
I never thought about that either.
That's hilarious, dude. But you know, it's definitely going to be a big hit for them. But like I said, and like you guys said, like you're going to either address it in the portal, or you've probably got guys in your team that are already talented, you know, down in that roster, some younger guys who are going to fill those shoes. Certainly some exciting stuff for them. And we look at the Gulf South standings from last year, fellas, and I mean, obviously West Florida is at the top of this list. If I zoom in here a little bit, throw it up on the screen for y'all. You look there, West Florida, Delta State, those are the top dogs in the conference right now. And when you look into this year, you look at their offenses, the people who are coming back. The quarterback from Delta State was the first team All-American on the College Football Network selection. Yeah, those names are kind of small, fellas. I apologize for that. But when you look down that standing, some pretty good, I mean, really good competition in the front half of that conference. When you look at West Florida, Delta State, West Georgia, West Alabama, these teams have had pretty solid years. Valdosta State last year, a down year for them, but you know a team like Valdosta State does not, when they go down, they don't stay down, right? Yeah. That's one of those squads, they have enough tradition, enough history. They'll be
right back.
Sliding their way into the playoffs here pretty soon again.
I never realized, like, now seeing the standings, how good this conference actually
is. I was looking at it.
It's definitely an underrated conference.
Just when you see the names, correct?
Yeah. I knew all the names, but I never, like, put together, they're all in the same conference.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. I mean, I remember when we had Coach Bish on here from Texas A&M Kingsville, and, like, remember, I don't know if you're on that episode, but
I was on that episode.
He was so excited when he was like, yeah, we just scheduled the game with West Georgia, like their second game. They got out of conference, and, like, that's a big deal for them because it's a prove-it game. And when you have a name like that, West Georgia, like, if you can get an out of conference win like that, those are playoff points.
Remember, he
time.
was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be saying this right now.
Yeah, but I'm
he told us. It was pretty funny.
I love that. And I wish we could like break news. Obviously, all of our episodes are recorded. They come out the next day. But I do remember him saying that. That was pretty funny. But finally, fellas, our last note on West Florida here. Some good talk today. Some real good talk today. I did want to touch on the transfers here. From West Florida, at least some of the ones listed. We know one of them, John McMullen, the defensive lineman from Northern Michigan.
Yep.
He's a dog.
He is.
Dude is a freak of nature. Like athletically, definitely, I use air quotes, undersized at the position, right? But when you talk about speed off the ball, you talk about hand placement, you talk about motor, all these things that make a good defensive lineman physicality, he's like a five-tool baseball player.
Yeah. I've had to block him for 2 years.
I would say both you guys have experience on the other side of said human.
It's not fun trying to block him.
No, he is ridiculously fast, and he's
so quick, but then he also has power to that. Like, he can beat you with so many different moves.
Yeah.
It's not like he favors one move over the other. Like, he can bull rush you, the next play just go right around you, and you not even touch him.
Because then you have to respect and honor both. Right,
exactly,
and that's really
that's
key.
a tough thing. Yeah. Tough thing to do is respect both things.
Totally, it is really hard. And as far as some of the other transfers that they're getting in here, a lot in the defensive backfield, I think you will find. Some of the mid-year transfers here, we have Justin Matthew out of Sioux Falls, and he had not the most incredible stat line at Sioux Falls, which I'm assuming is part of the reason that he got out of there and is wanting a new opportunity down at West Florida. You have Kevin Quinn, the quarterback from Georgia Military, which is interesting there. He was a freshman at Georgia Military College. That is going to be an interesting addition to that room. So a lot of competition in that quarterback room.
That quarterback room is insane.
He's 6'2", 205. He's got a decent frame on him, especially for a young kid. That's his freshman year, so now going into a sophomore, again, learning under Coach Nobles. Seems like at the D2 level, that might be the guy if you want to go play somewhere bigger or professionally.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Georgia Military School? I don't know.
Never heard of it until I just read it off this page.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it either.
Are they D1, D2, I would assume? I think they're D2.
I don't think they're D2. I feel like we would have.
Georgia Military.
I know like Coast Guard has like a D3 team, I believe.
Well, I know. The Citadel's D1.
What's that?
The Citadel's D1.
The Citadel is D1. You're correct. They're FBS. They're group of
five.
So
is VMI.
I don't know.
Why don't you do a quick Google search for us right there? But I'll keep going down the list of some of the transfers here. Offensive lineman Joseph Stone, 6'7", 340 from Middle Tennessee State.
Damn.
That's a big human. As far as Middle Tennessee State goes, kind of a mouthful there. Shout out my boy Mitch Howell that plays there, by the way. I played high school ball with him. But he appeared in the final 3 regular season games against Charlotte, FIU, and FAU.
I got your answer.
You would assume that, again, a guy that believes he wants more of an opportunity to get on the field, and that's why he's making this move to West Florida. The division of the Georgia Military School is
JUCO.
Wow. Okay.
Would have never guessed
that. Would have been my absolutely last guess.
Military
JUCO.
school being in JUCO.
It's almost like boarding school.
Isn't that what military is?
Yeah, but they're like sending him to JUCO. Like, hey, they're going to JUCO, man. You're going down there.
You got to be military on top of JUCO football.
Oh, those kids got to be that kid had to get out of there so fast. He hit the high road quickly.
Oh, another notable transfer too. A guy that we had on the podcast, Jake Dorn from Saginaw Valley, the defensive end that's making his way down to West Florida. That defensive line for West Florida is going to be
good.
Yeah, and the guy coaching them, Coach Mello from Davenport, who made his way down there as well. So hence some of these GLIAC connections you see them making their way down. How do you think those connections were facilitated? He saw these guys play. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's getting with those guys.
Exactly.
And they're safe picks. They're old veteran guys that have 1 year left apiece. Man, if you've seen any of the workouts that Jake Dorn does, you'd think he would be a stunt double for Captain America.
I got you got a timeline question. When did the Davenport coach go there? Do you know?
That's a great question.
Because I know John McMullen took a visit to Davenport and then took a visit to West Florida after that. So I didn't know.
That was after.
I didn't know if there was a connection.
He had already made the move.
Yeah, okay.
No, that was after he already made the move.
Connection
that's definitely a valid point though. But I think that can be it for West Florida. I mean, we
covered the team.
That's pretty good analysis.
It was
Come on, we did a good job, man. That was good. We can move on to the Division III side of things,
you didn't get as many claps as I did, Kobe.
I didn't. I need to hit the button again. Is that what I need to do?
Yeah, do it for yourself.
Okay, I'm not going to now because you made me feel bad.
There you go, Kobe.
Thanks. Division 3, Delaware Valley. They are in the MAC. And again, different MAC than you might think. The Aggies from Delaware Valley looking to win their 6th consecutive MAC championship in 2023. I don't care what level of football, what
tough.
conference you're in. That shit is really hard. So I guess we can start things off by looking at their 2022 schedule before jumping into the rest of the conversation. I'm trying to find where my mouse is on the screen. There we are. But fellas, the Aggies, 2022, let's take a look at that schedule. 12-1, that one loss, obviously, in the playoffs to Mount Union. But looking through this, talk about a team that put the freaking beat down. They left no question in a lot of these games.
No, not at all.
Absolutely no question. I mean, some of these
41
games,
zip.
like you look at this week 2 game, like, yeah, that's a close little contest right there. But moving on,
41 zip.
42.
I will say-
34, 34.
off the top of my head, not the most competitive conference in the Division 3C.
No,
You got a
haven't
couple
heard of
teams.
any
You got
of
a
these
couple
schools.
teams on here like King's College usually has a pretty good squad. I know Lycoming they've got a good squad. I've heard a lot about them. But the most of these teams,
some of
I
these
won't lie to
schools
you.
I've never heard of.
That's part of it. But like I said, it's still a game every week, and it's still when you have this many wins. I was texting with Louie, our new sponsored athlete from Delaware Valley. When you have this many wins, there is a target on your back, especially
Oh,
within
yeah.
that conference.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know if you're
They're
this
like the team to beat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you said, they're the team to beat, so you're going to get the team's best shot. Every single week, you're getting this squad, whether it's Stevenson or Misericordia or Montclair State, you're getting their best shot every single week. I think that's what you have to think about it.
Yeah.
But if we continue to look down the bottom of that schedule there, first round playoffs, that was a tough one for them, wasn't it, against Gallaudet?
They put more points on Gallaudet than they did in any other regular season
Yeah, that's
game.
crazy.
They got into the playoffs and unloaded. That's crazy. But moving on, Randolph, Macon, McCon. Man, I wish I
Probably
knew.
Macon.
Macon. Beat them. Close margins on that one. Probably a real competitive game. And then finally, Mount Union in the quarterfinal there. Or would that be semifinal? I believe that is the semifinal. No, that's quarterfinal.
Quarter semi, yeah.
Yes, so that was quarters against Mount Union, who would eventually go on to be in the national championship. But definitely a solid year for them. I don't want to say in any way that this was a disappointment of a year. Now, I'm sure some of those guys in that roster will tell you otherwise, right? Like they thought this was the year they win it all. Guys, the more we talk about them, you might find out that this coming year might be the year for them all. And we talked about the 5 back-to-back conference championships.
This sweet.
That's what they have to show for it right there.
Some good. The only one I don't like is the fourth.
The green.
The
neon.
green.
I don't know if I'm sold on the green.
That looks a little tacky, but the other ones are sweet. I mean, the one with the Alabama A. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
can we get rid of the Alabama A on that? I don't know where.
Can they even use that?
Out of
That's
DVU,
got-
like Del Val even is kind of cool, but like, where do we get the A from? I'm not
Aggies.
really like. It is Aggies. That's got to be it.
Oh yeah, the Aggies is on a few of them. You
Yeah.
get the one on the
Aggies.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the far right one the most. Simple.
All the way on the right.
Yeah.
I see. I like the left, and I actually like.
I like the middle. I like the middle. Look at us. Diverse opinions out here. I think that middle one's hard. Del Val is dope.
I actually like the neon green one.
All right. Well, we can move on.
You'd have to be off the podcast soon.
But certainly
doors are
the hardware to show for it for the Aggies out of Delaware Valley. And before we look at the 2023 schedule for that squad, let's look at some of the returners. I'm texting Louie, and before we talk about some of the other guys that we are going to talk about, let's talk about Louie himself. And I will say he was not the one that said, "Oh, you guys need to talk about me for next year." He didn't mention himself at all, but he knew I was going to talk about him anyways. The quarterback for the squad, 20 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 2,400 yards passing, 472 rushing. Really good stat line for that squad.
That is good stat line.
Takes care of the ball, at least like it seems like a decent amount. His completion percentage between 50 and 60%, which is really respectable for a quarterback. You know what I mean? At any college football level. Can certainly get it done with his feet. We just posted the announcement video on our Instagram and Twitter, so check that out. Couple good highlights of him on there. Throwing the deep ball. Got a little bit of he can sling it. He can sling the deep ball. But also, dude broke like 4 tackles in one run in one of the videos that he sent me. Like, he's got a little bit of a frame on him, too. Otherwise, though.
That was that 59-0 game.
That was what?
That was that 59-0 game. He was going nuts.
He's just
He
running
played
over
against
everybody.
He came into that game. He was on some
I don't even wait. Who that was? Gallaudet, correct?
Gallaudet.
Yeah. Oh,
It's still
that's
just
funny.
crazy. It
God
was a
hope we're saying that
playoff
right.
game too.
Yeah.
59-0 just walking in. Imagine like seeing, we got to play them first game. Just going into that game like, oh no.
That'd be tough. A couple of the names that he had mentioned, though, and I like hearing from these guys because they're the ones that are in the locker room every day. Like, I can only do so much research. You guys can only look at so much. Like, he's the guy that's there every day. He knows what guys are going to be the contributors. And when he said immediately, Flash Morgan, the wide receiver, 5 touchdowns, 500 yards this last year. Expect for him to have a much larger workload for them, being that true number 1 receiver and not splitting, I think, a lot more of those receptions. So that'll definitely be a key part of any opposing team scouting report. And then you look at, in the backfield, offensively, the running back, Jay White, 200 attempts last year. Do you know how physically durable you have to be to carry the rock 200 times in a season?
Even with, like we were talking about earlier, the playoffs games, I mean, that's 200.
Yeah, I didn't even give the
by-
yards yet. I mean, he ran for about 1,300 yards, but 200 carries
I don't even know what that is.
per game. You're trying to figure
Yeah,
out
I'm
like
trying
how
to
much
figure out
that
my-
is. Got the calculator on your phone there?
How many games did they play? 13?
We're gonna find out in just a second here. Yes, 13.
He had 200
hundo,
divided
little
by-
division, and
That's 15.38 a game.
it's respectable.
That's
That's
a
respectable.
good. I mean, and there's got to be a running back too.
Oh yeah, I mean he can't.
There's an RB
take
too,
every
so he's not
carry.
taking every carry.
Yep. Pretty crazy stuff, dude. 200 carries is a freaking wild number. But on the defensive side of things, talk a little bit about defense. The linebackers, especially the inside guys, the guys who are coming in, knocking the running backs on their cases. Nick Chapman, Anthony Pontolio.
Did he say keisters?
Geesters.
All right, bro.
How old are you? 60?
Putting them on their ass. You happy?
Are the New Balances outside? I was just asking.
Nick and Anthony, 150 tackles between the two of them, the inside linebacker core for the Aggies, both returning for this next year.
That's huge
And
for them.
that linebacking core seems to be one of the brighter spots of that team because he told me, too, the names that we'll be hearing a lot, Darius Nichols, another linebacker, and Ahmad Jones, linebacker as well. So when I asked him, like, who are these guys that I need to know about coming back? Who should we keep our eye on? The dude damn near listed the entire linebacking core for this Delaware Valley
That's
team.
crazy. I wonder what defense they run if they have them all on the field at one time. That'd be nuts.
You've got to be utilizing them, right? There has to be some way
They
they
run a
utilize them.
3-5. They put all the linebackers out there.
Every single one of them. But looking, before we get into that 2023 schedule, looking at the MAC standings here for the conference, this obviously being last year, and we can take a look at that, obviously, the Aggies being on top of this list, Kings College right below them. And you look, and they put the beating on Kings College, but then you're like, that was Kings College only loss in the conference.
That's kind of crazy.
They didn't lose another conference game after that. So we
So-
were saying we hadn't heard of a whole lot of these teams, but like definitely some respectable football
yeah,
being
there's,
played.
So there's
some
either
there's some good
two-
records.
There's either 2 good teams, as in Kings College,
Yeah.
and
DV.
or maybe it's a better conference than we think.
Maybe we should put some respect on the MAC name.
You got
Maybe
7
they are the MACtion.
You got, no.
Maybe they should be the Maction.
You got 7-3,
They aren't the
8-3,
Maction, but they
8-3,
could be.
12-1,
Really
6-5.
impressive. Really impressive. Like those conferences and
5 and 6 in that.
Yes.
5 and 6 in that conference, and all 5 wins were all conference games.
Yeah.
Can we go back to Gallaudet University real quick?
We can totally do that. What would you like to say?
I looked it up, and it's for the education of the deaf and hard of hearing.
Oh my God, I know someone going there.
Really?
I know someone going there.
So
and he's
they-
That's
actually-
right.
I
So
know
they
exactly
beat up
where that is.
on a bunch of deaf people.
And we're gonna have to,
59-0.
you're gonna have to cut that out.
What?
Like we were all thinking it, but you didn't have to fucking say it.
I mean, come on, bro. Like
59-0. They had to run up the score, too. That's horrible.
Oh man.
okay, no, but you
No,
know
we're
what?
leaving it
Okay,
in.
I've been
that's
thinking
the thing.
about it for like 3 minutes.
Okay,
I
but
looked it up.
I actually,
How do I bring this up?
I know someone. One of my, my mom's friends. Her son's going to play there. He's from downstate Michigan.
Okay.
And it's actually a very respectable football program.
Well, they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a
obviously,
lot of
you know what I mean?
tradition and a lot of like if you ever watch them, like when they do like warm ups and stuff on a field, they use a gong and they feel the vibration in their feet. to like know like what to do. It's crazy. It's one of the you have to look.
Little did we know we'd have an expert on the show with us tonight. That's really
Wow.
cool though. That's really sweet.
You have to look it up. It's actually
It's in DC too. by the
it's
way.
actually somewhat
That's where the
insane. Like they
school
use like to like do plays and stuff. Obviously they have like hand signals like most colleges use nowadays.
But they're probably so good at them.
Yeah.
oh,
Are you
I
kidding me?
bet,
Their hand signals are probably on point.
well, they're probably yeah. I mean, you can tell them what the play is. You know,
We're not gonna spell it out, but like,
Okay, we probably should move on.
I just want to bring
either
that
way,
up.
no, that's a great point. I did not realize that. I do believe someone had commented that we should feature them, so maybe we will in a future episode.
It would be
Because
really
like
cool
I
to
said,
talk
that,
about
they
that.
like the gong and they feel it. Like I've never like in my life like
That's incredible. That really is
how you,
really
they
cool.
hit a gong like they know like 1, 2, 3 and they know like what it is. That's insane.
Yeah, but we can move on from the conference standings, and the last look that we will have here is a look at the upcoming 2023 schedule for the Aggies. And fellas, the first game is one that we did just actually post about from the other side of things. I asked our viewers to predict State University of New York, SUNY Cortland, their record, in 2023, their first game against the Aggies. Cortland, one of the best teams in that, the Empire 8 Conference or the Liberty League or something like that. I forget what it is, but one of the best teams in that New York Conference, coming and playing the best team in the MAC to open things off at Cortland. That one's going to be very exciting, and it's kind of a tone setter, I think, for the rest of this season for DVU. Are they going to pick up right where they left off, or are they going to be with some growing pains? I would assume with the amount of returners that we just talked about, this team is not going to skip a beat. But
No, I think they're going for Is it going to be 6th in a row now?
number 6, can we book it right now? Can we?
Yeah.
I mean, guys,
I mean, you got King. Yeah,
order the rings now.
see, you're jinxing them. You better knock
Yeah,
on some wood.
cut
for
that
them.
out.
Yeah,
You're jinxing them.
Order them.
You're jinxing them.
Order them.
I'm giving. You know what? I'll make. You know, I'm gonna make a prediction. I got Kings.
You got Kings?
I got Kings.
Did you know what Kings was a half hour ago?
No, but I just saw their record up there, and I got Kings.
But some good out-of-conference games, though, in all seriousness, for the Aggies. Albright College next, and then Eastern University. They go on the road for the first 3 games. They come home versus Kings College. That is at DVU, Jack, so I don't even have to change that prediction. But 5 of their first 6 on the road for the Aggies. That's a pretty tumultuous start to the year.
What's their end of their
For
season
DVU.
look like? I bet they're like, oh no, not really.
Man,
Wow,
4
They
home
play
games.
4 home games.
Look at that. Almost their conference, at least at home. Then you talk about some playoffs potentially down here. You know, if a school has all these playoffs listed,
They
at the
already got
bottom,
them listed. They're like, yeah, we're going. We're in.
that's exactly what that shit
We're in.
means.
We're in. That's you know what that is? That's cocky as hell.
It
but you
is,
know what?
But it's there, bro.
That's
They got
bring
the
it.
finals on there. They're going.
Do they have the date set on it too? They do.
Pier in there.
They
I
got
want to see where it's at. It's in Virginia?
Oh, is it? Oh,
Salem,
yes.
Virginia.
It
Salem,
does.
Virginia.
It does say that. I did not realize that on the
Yep, they
first
got it.
glance
December 15th. Be there. Be there.
there. December 15th still playing football is crazy.
That's bizarre. Bizarre.
That's all for Delaware Valley, though. Let us know. Comment on this YouTube video, whatever clip I have this in, on what other teams we should highlight. Fellas, couple more smaller pieces before we do finally get out of here. This is definitely going to be a longer episode, huh?
It's okay.
We did a lot of good content, though. I feel like we're
Yes.
moving, right?
Yeah.
All right. Do we finish on the rib? I feel like we finished on the rib story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still really confused about that, but
Phillip Rivers welcomes in kid number 10. He could field his own football team potentially. I mean, give him 9 months, and then we might have the announcement that he is fielding his own football team when she announced she's pregnant with the 11th. We can do a whole offense or defense
I just
depending on
don't-
what
I
kind of
just don't,
personnel we have.
It's not a competition, Phillip.
well, I guess the money part isn't the problem with him. But how do you
How do you remember all their names?
Absolute all-time graphic from Bussin' today.
is he trying to
Phillip Rivers expecting his 10th child. There is no debate that Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer off the field. Congrats on the sex. That's golden.
is his favorite movie
That's
Cheaper
golden.
by the Dozen or something?
I don't
Oh
know.
my god.
That's kind of funny.
Trevor's got some outlandish comments today.
He's full of
That's a good movie.
Trevor's on one right now.
guys.
He's gonna he's gonna be a real life Home Alone. He's gonna leave God dang! Where's it?
when they go on vacation, they have to do a roll call.
Where's
He's
number
got a clip
7?
card.
Where's number 7?
He probably does power rankings with them.
He's got him in a depth
Suzanne,
chart.
you're having a really good week. You might go up to number 3.
He might have him in a depth chart.
Depth, you might parent off a depth chart.
Have you ever seen that that coach, that high school coach? He has like the craziest comments.
And he said he wanted to teach, or like, you know,
Yeah. I think everybody should use a depth chart.
My wife said no.
Yeah.
Is it-
He said the one with the Cadillac. It's like,
He's
it's
got
like
all
a double.
kinds
It's like
of-
a double-edged sword. It's like watching your mother-in-law go off a bridge in a Cadillac.
Yes.
You know, you guys got mixed feelings. Like he just says crazy things. I'm just like, how?
That is exactly what it was.
How
too.
can you be a college?
But 10 kids. I wanted to ask
How do
you
you
guys,
even like spend time with all of them?
what activities would you do with 10 kids? Like you said, money, thankfully, is not really the problem, that'd be the most concerning thing.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay for 10 kids potentially to go to college. Gosh.
Still not a problem with him. And
Still not a problem.
he's a head coach of a high school right now too.
I do believe that is correct. But
So you're
again,
doing that on top of spending time with your kids, are you?
Are you?
I don't.
Well,
I mean,
Are you
can't-
questioning his fatherhood capabilities?
well,
he's-
you could have. You know what you could do though?
He's
It'd be
stretched pretty
awesome.
thin.
Do you think he has a schedule for each one?
oh my gosh.
He's got
Trevor,
them built
no.
No, but you know, you would be awesome. Like, you could have like, you go him and his wife, and then you got the 10 kids. There's 3 tee times, 3 foursomes for golf. You could do legit competitions. Like you could have legit tournament bracket competitions, pickleball competition.
Not quite, Jack. And you know why I say not quite? That's because their ages range from 4 to 21.
I can't believe his oldest is 21. That's
Having
bizarre.
little Johnny go against Suzanne, who's in her second, third year of college. Johnny's just getting out of diapers. Hey, let's go play a scramble.
You know what though? I bet
No,
they're all.
there's
I bet they're all athletes.
They probably are. No, they probably are. You're probably correct.
I bet they're all athletes.
We will definitely be
But seriously,
seeing
what-
one of the Rivers boys slinging a football here
What
sometime soon.
No. Yeah.
activities can you do with like?
That's what I really am curious to ask you guys. Like, what do you think off the top of
Buy
your
a
head?
big ass boat, go fishing.
You might have to strap 2 pontoons together. Fishing, that's 10 rods. 11 if Phil wants to fish. You know how many worms?
Hunger Games.
You know,
Hunger Games. Imagine you got Nerf guns. You put them all on the thing. You let them fight. That'd be awesome, dude.
all right, we need to move on. We need to
One more
move on.
thing.
We need to move on.
If you got to drive
Hunger
anywhere,
Games? Are you serious?
Oh, that'd be awesome. All 10 of them.
Oh my gosh!
if you have to drive somewhere, do they have 2 vehicles?
Oh my gosh! I didn't even
didn't
think about that.
Do they have
need one of
Do
those.
they have a bus?
I was about to say a
He's got
double
a sprinter.
decker.
You got a sprinter. You know what, Phillip? Good luck. Good luck to you, Phillip.
It's a boy, by the way. I should have led with that. It's a boy.
Oh, I'm glad.
Do we know
I'm glad that we know that.
how many
now.
boys to girls he has in this? Like how many daughters and sons?
I know he's very religious, isn't
That
he?
is. I don't believe that is in the article.
That's not a ratio. That's not a ratio. I mean, it is a ratio for him, though. I mean, he's got 10
Either way,
kids.
we can move on just real quickly. This one topic before we get to our great story for today that I'm really excited about. Josh Jacobs. He's holding out from the Raiders camp unless the new contract is worked out. Trevor, you saw this today, and really not too surprising for a guy that has the production that he's had with the Raiders, the spot that they're in, the running back situation right now. Excuse me, the market at the NFL level. We've seen a lot of the conversation revolve around Saquon Barkley over there in New York with the Giants. It's kind of disappointing. But Jack, you said at the beginning of the episode, you said what? You can get him anywhere. You can find him anywhere. You said you brought
You
up
can't get
Pacheco.
him. Yeah, you can't get him anywhere. I mean, that's like, but I mean, the guys coming out of like these big schools. I mean, you got Kenneth Walker, who just came out of Michigan State. Am I right? Was it?
Yes.
Yeah, K9.
Yeah,
Seahawks.
I was like, no one was like, you know, the Michigan
we were
State
listening
fans.
to you.
Yeah,
Michigan State fans in the room didn't say anything. But you got him coming out of college who was, you gave him 2 years and he was real productive this year.
Yep.
So you can, I mean, it's not like, I don't know.
It's probably the most replaceable position in football.
Guys aren't built like Adrian Peterson anymore.
Absolutely. Well, no, I don't think anyone was ever actually, all due respect, I don't think anyone was ever actually built like Adrian Peterson.
No.
Like,
I mean,
he's
yeah.
just such an anomaly physically,
Yeah.
you know?
I
And
just,
then after like the ACL to come back and do the things that he did. Just unreal.
but also like running the ball isn't integral to the game anymore. Like
Not like it used to be.
Not like it used to
No.
be. Even when Adrian Peterson played, even though that wasn't that long ago. Like,
Still a different game.
yeah,
Very different
definitely
game. No, that's a
very
good point.
different.
Very good
So
point.
it's
Now,
very easy to.
But if you look at guys that, you know,
I did
Bo
see-
Jackson and
Yeah.
Barry Sanders, those guys' careers weren't like, insanely long like Tom Brady's was. I mean, they
You
have,
can't, the nature of the position. You
yeah,
can't.
they
do
have
it.
their 7-8 years that are even
I
that
just-
7-8 years is given bought time. You know,
This says here the NFL deadline for a new agreement is 4 p.m. on Monday, and he plans to hold out if the two sides can't strike a new deal. He's scheduled to make $10.1 million on the franchise tender in 2023, but he's been a Pro Bowl back last 2 out of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And the stat line that he had last year, over 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground, had 400 yards on 53 catches, started all 17 games for them. I mean, he is a huge part of their
It's
offense.
actually ridiculous that the Raiders were bad.
It really is, man. It's
Their
really
offense was
insane.
actually electric.
Don't
They
get me
had their
wrong.
quarterback
A lot of
position
it
struggled.
A lot of it is the division. You talk
Yeah.
about that division, the AFC West.
Yeah.
That's a tough ass division with the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Chargers.
Well, maybe not the
Yeah,
Broncos.
I
but
can't believe you just said the Broncos.
Still,
let's ride.
well, again, we talked about how the offense was. The Broncos on the other side of the ball defensively.
Oh, they were.
Oh,
had
they're
it.
legit.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
The only reason the
it's-
Broncos were in football games
yes.
couldn't do anything.
So
on offense.
still, even though their offense was lackluster as opposed to what we thought about it in the preseason, still a really difficult conference. I mean, it's
for
or
sure.
division. Sorry, not conference. Division. Really tough. But I don't know. I don't see the running back. I don't think the running backs have as much leverage as they like to think so. I
No,
think
they
it's just,
don't
they're just going to end up franchise tagged or whatever. They're not going to sit out of
yeah,
here.
I just think-
I can't imagine giving a running back a franchise tag.
Well, look at how it's working for the Chiefs. They don't pay running backs like any big contracts. Think about since like Patrick Mahomes has been there, how many different running backs he's had. Like they just plug
I
and
can't
play.
even. Yeah, I can't even.
Again,
name
though,
all
that's
of
the
them.
Chiefs.
But
They're
that's
the
what I'm
exception.
saying.
That's
That's what I'm
that's like the
saying.
Brady system.
That's how you should run things. You shouldn't be paying your running back all this money.
Yeah, but guys think they're worth more.
Are we
just
ready,
like,
fellas?
What's his name is?
Are we ready?
Jamal Williams thought he was worth more.
Are we ready?
Oh, isn't this the guy that?
Are we ready? Sam Hartman is getting a necklace made with his surgically removed rib. Do I have to say that again? Do I have to say it twice? Because that is the craziest headline I have ever read since starting Division I Rejects podcast.
That's just. I feel like that's just wrong.
There's so much.
There are some
wrong
moral implications
that.
with that, definitely.
Like there's just they can't be cleansy.
Cleansy is not a word, but I know exactly what you're
Cleansiness.
talking about.
Cleansing.
it can't be. It's
Also not a
clean.
word.
Oh, well,
Clean.
clean can't be clean.
No, it definitely is not clean.
I mean, you can.
Big word.
Let's look here. This is what his mom said about the situation. She said, quote, "He means the world to me. So if he wants me to clean the flesh off his ribs, then that's what I'm going to do."
She's making it. No,
Lisa Hartman, Sam's mom, on making his rib into a piece of jewelry.
I thought he was like taking its ice box in Florida and putting it on like a Cuban link.
This
and, like,
ain't no
going, "Well,
Cuban link, my
that ain't
friend."
No
Is he
Cuban
making it-
link.
This is just so
No,
wrong.
there's just so much wrong with
Didn't
that.
he have like a serious like heart problem or
He dealt with some serious injuries, hence why the the rib is being surgically removed because
Yeah.
of past.
I don't remember what it was, but
Okay, so
but still that
it's
regardless,
weird. It's weird. You know, you almost can like say like, okay, it's like a trophy in a sense that he's battled and made it.
He dealt with a blood clot that sidelined him last year for about a month. That was part of it.
But I thought there was
How does
something
that have anything
before
to-
that.
Now, he was also a big-time player for the Deacons. He passed for 3,400 yards and 35 touchdowns.
He's the one that struggled in the beginning of the year, though, didn't he?
Yes,
And everyone was
because
giving
of the injury, basically.
Yeah, and everyone was giving him hell.
So the
And then he
blood
came in,
clot
he
was
played pretty
removed.
Then they took the rib with him.
So it is
Clean
called
the flesh?
It is called Paget-Schroeder syndrome, or effort thrombosis. Supposedly caused from a previous infection that was eventually caused inflammation, and they had to do a procedure to remove the blood clot. And then we performed surgery to eliminate the pressure on the vein and dilated the vein. And
I'd like to know what the next.
there's a lot. There's a lot going on inside this guy, man. But let's continue with the quotes here, though. We saw the quote from his mom. "The rib is in my fridge. It's well on its way to becoming a necklace."
Is it clean?
Why is he keeping it on ice? Bro, what is going on here?
Does he have like a is this just in his fridge in his living room? Not his living room. that'd be
Imagine
weird.
living,
In the
imagine living
kitchen?
with him going upstairs and be like, oh, I'm going to make dinner. You're going up, you see, oh, yeah, that's my rib. Don't worry about it.
You mean like baby back or?
No, I got that removed today. All right, bro, I'm just. I ain't gonna eat no more.
I'm actually not even hungry anymore.
Hey, you know what?
How do you look at that when you go into the fridge?
A salad sounds great tonight. Just,
Anything without any type of meat, actually.
That's crazy.
That quote is so crazy. The rib is in my fridge. And then
But,
I
so
think
does he have
there
to keep it in
was
his
there
fridge?
one final one? I forgot. No, that's it. That's
does he have to
right there.
keep it in his fridge like at all times?
It probably deteriorates. It's like
That's
it's living.
the real
it's like
definition of ice, baby. He got ice on his neck. That's the real definition. That's crazy. Hey, shout out Sam Hartman, man. That's awesome. You know, rare
What are
with
some
pride.
of the comments saying?
Oh yeah, they might not be appropriate.
Yeah, I don't know if I do actually want to scroll through them. And I also
That's
can't
enough
even-
internet for
I
the
can't-
day.
yeah, I
That's
can't
enough
read them from
internet
here.
for the day.
Shout out Sam Hartman, football dude. Sam Hartman.
Yeah.
Rib enthusiast, not the rib you think.
All right,
wait,
we
wait,
can
wait.
leave it on
She
that
said
note.
in the wait. Says his mom is helping him keeping the rib in her fridge and even cleaning his flesh off of it.
He says in my fridge. Right there, he says it.
He does.
That's
It's just not right.
no. There's something wrong with that. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
Well, if any athletes that you know have any surgically removed portions of their body that they plan on making into body art or jewelry of any kind, please contact us at division1rejects@gmail.com. With that being said, thank you for listening to tonight's episode.